TBM Legion, how are we doing? You awesome bunch of freaking wonder stars. Okay, as promised yesterday, I've been trying to do a live for you, alright, but freaking internet's here is not playing ball with me. So in any case, the garden's the nicest spot here, so we're taking it outside. We're getting stuck into some breath today, alright? Brawn and brains, science and spirituality. That's the combined topic that I'm approaching at the moment. Alright, and as promised yesterday, we're coming at you with part one of breath, high performance breath. Alright, so quick reminder why we're going into this, why we're going into these topics. Alright, what I'm talking about when I'm talking about fitness is total health and performance. Okay, I encompass lots of things together with fitness, and the reason for that is that, let's face it, yeah, not many of us are athletes. Okay, even if we are, we're amateur athletes. Even if we are amateur athletes, we're still looking to improve various aspects of our lives, aren't we? We're not just interested in getting in shape. Okay, we want to get in shape, we want to improve our fitness, but we want to improve everything else, don't we? We want to improve our career development, we want to improve our personal relationships, we want to optimize our mood and our sleep, and you know, all of these things, all of these factors. Okay, so total performance, that's what I'm interested in. All right, and this is this kind of mini series, I suppose, this ongoing thing that I'm doing now. This is very much focused on connecting all the dots between fitness, cognition, spirituality, okay, and the science that underpins all those, right? So that we can look at total human performance, right? Because that's interesting. That's what gets me excited. All right. So yeah, so that's what we're doing. Okay, quick reminder, all right? Anyone who's looking to optimize all of these areas, okay, the fundamentals of how to do that are laid out in my ebook, Fitter Body, Stronger Mind. You can download a copy of that for free using the link that's in the description or the comments, wherever it is, there somewhere. Okay, you can find that. So if you haven't already done that, all right, get stuck in, download that book, and check out the sort of core fundamental principles on how to start optimizing all that stuff, right? So anyway, without further ado, all right, we're looking at breath, the power of breath. There's something very wrong with the fitness industry at the moment. All right, the reason I'm always banging on about total performance rather than fitness, just fitness, because we tend to do this thing where we focus on just one or two of the extremely important influencing factors that go into health and fitness. Okay, we very much focus on exercise. All right, we put all our heart and soul into that. When we don't get the results we want, we start putting a little bit more, put a bit more of our focus on diet. Okay, and pretty much when we talk about fitness, we tend to just talk about these, okay, and that's just missing a huge swathe of useful areas that also need to be covered, all right, in order to achieve optimum fitness, right? So we've been sold this kind of line by most of the professionals in the industry that we just do a bit of exercise, we do a bit of eating well, and everything else kind of takes care of itself, and that's not true. Okay, right? All of these factors are interlinked, yeah, fitness, diet, you know, how the brain operates, sleep, mindfulness, meditation, these internal practices, okay, they're all necessary. If you're still not getting the results you want and you've been putting a lot of focus on exercise and diet, right, then it's probably time to start putting a bit of attention on these other things as well. Okay, and breath is a massive one, and that's why I want to talk about that, and that's why I'm so excited to get going with breath. Okay, so I'm going to start off with a bit that most of us probably care about the most, which is the science. Okay, because generally when we start talking about breath, it comes up in these circles, it's very relevant to sort of yogic practices, ancient traditions, it's dressed up in this flowery language which makes it very unfamiliar and that we don't really understand, and that tends to start putting us off a little bit. All right, okay, so let's get down to the science bit, because there's a massive body of evidence out there now to show us why focusing on breath exercise, particularly slow breathing exercise, is so beneficial, why it tends to leave us in that very relaxed, calm state, why it tends to leave us feeling like we're able to focus much more, think much clearer, and all this good stuff. All right, so anyway, I found a pretty awesome paper that was a meta-analysis of lots of different research, okay, and these guys looked at almost 2,500 studies, okay. They pulled together almost 2,500 studies, and they ended up only selecting 15 that actually went into this review, okay. So they were very, very tough. The reason this is a really good meta-analysis because they were very, very tough on the criteria that had to be checked in order to get included with this, okay. And the reason that it's so strong in telling us whether these slow breathing exercises are actually doing anything for our physiology and having the psychological effects that people report them to be, is because they're not basing the evidence on sort of self-reported metrics or subjectively measured metrics, okay. They're using definitive, objective measures to see what the effects actually are, such as brain activity measured by fMRI, meow, co-hosted today by Mio the cat, and EEG, okay. fMRI is functional magnetic resonance imaging, which many of you will be familiar with. MRI, functional MRI, is looking at blood flow, okay, to the brain, all right, because blood flows to the parts of the brain that are obviously more active, okay. And EEG is looking at brain activity but measured by electric charge. So that's the changes in charge based on the postsynaptic neuron transmissions. All right, so you don't really need to understand any of that so much, but all you need to understand is that they're measuring the actual differences that occur. Okay, my evil villain face. Now I've got a cat on my lap. Don't purr too loudly, Mia. Okay, no one can hear me. So, and there's other metrics involved as well, like HRV, okay, heart rate variability, which is very much associated with, an increase in heart rate variability is very much associated with decreased morbidity, okay, so decreased incidence of death, a chance of death, and decreased, I said morbidity, that's so better quality of life, and then decreased mortality, okay, so decreased chance of death or lower incidence of death. Okay, so these are really great markers. These tell us that something is actually happening. There's an actual physiological effect that's taking place, right? So really great review, 15 quite strong study, or not necessarily strong studies, but studies that at least tell us there's a measurable difference in what is going on in the body, rather than a bunch of yogis saying, yeah, I did some breath work for 10 minutes and I felt great afterwards, because that doesn't really fucking tell us anything, does it? Right, so let's have a little look. I'm just going to quote, if I can actually navigate with my fat fingers. Right, so I'm just going to quote something from the conclusion of this meta-analysis, which I thought was quite good. All right, so there's loads of reoccurring themes within this review. Okay, general themes are showing that there's an increase in heart rate variability. The subjects within the studies are reporting that they are feeling more relaxed during times, when they've been exposed to this, slow breathing exercise and so on, and it's backed up by the measurements that they're taking, which is increased brain activity in various different areas, but areas that would be associated with some involuntary exercises like bodily functions and things. Okay, so it's showing that we're kind of like starting to manipulate involuntary bodily functions just using the breath, and it's showing an increased, or evidence to show that we're manipulating the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, two sides of the autonomic nervous system: sympathetic, state of readiness, state of alertness, okay, and the parasympathetic, which is our resting state of calmness and relaxation, okay. And these areas are showing an increased stimulation of those parasympathetic, of the areas that are associated with parasympathetic nervous system. And the conclusion starts off with, we found evidence of increased Psychophysiological flexibility linking parasympathetic activity, okay, parasympathetic state of rest. Central nervous system activities related to emotional control and psychological well-being in healthy subjects during slow breathing techniques. All right, so that's the first line of the conclusion. It does go on to say that there were limitations of the study, okay, which there always are, but on the whole there were loads of reoccurring themes within that paper, and I'll link the paper in the description as well so that you guys can check that out if you want a bit more information on that one. But again, okay, it's showing us throughout that paper within various different studies that by using the breath, by controlling the breath, we're able to manipulate brain state, okay, changing brain waves from beta brain waves is our normal daytime state, okay, and it's showing increased activity of alpha brain waves through EEG, and it's showing that we're able to bring the body down from this sympathetic nervous system, which is when we spend too much time in that sympathetic state, okay, that's when we start to get all of these problems of chronic stress, right, chronic fatigue, okay, anxiety related disorders, all of these horrible things that happen to us happen because we're spending so much time in this high stress, high alert state, okay, but through breath we're able to manipulate that, and we're able to actually bring ourselves down, start stimulating the areas of the body that are involved in that parasympathetic state, that resting state, state of calm, state of relaxation, and start manipulating that physiology just by slow breathing. All right, now slow breathing in this meta-analysis is defined by 10 breaths or less per minute. Okay, so if you were to obviously, a 2-second inhale followed by a 4-second exhale, okay, and then we'd have 10 breaths or less than that within 1 minute. Okay, so basically breath is freaking awesome, and I can tell you, as someone who's aware of the science and someone who's actually practiced it extensively myself, okay, this shit works. Yesterday I gave a really simple breathwork practice to get you guys started if you wanted to, which was just the slow deep nasal breathing. All right, important that it's through the nose if you can as well, because it increases the nitric oxide production as well, as various other things. And that's a really nice simple one to get you going. Okay, I recommend that if you haven't already started there, carry on with that. Practice the diaphragmatic breathing, okay, the diaphragmatic control, using the diaphragm to get those deep inhalations. All right, if you want to move on to something slightly more advanced from there, I would still take it one increment at a time. I would suggest that you start looking at getting the number of breaths per minute down